People are often asking me, as the sex expert, what do I do with horny? And I think that's a good question, because so often in my very conservative Christian culture, we tried to repress horny. We basically didn't acknowledge or accept that libido, sexual desire, every one of us from the time we're born, and especially since adolescence, have had this sexual hormonal surging within us. So as I define horny and talk it through, I always talk about the surge and the ache. The surging is more that idea that we have hormones that create sexual desire. We pair up things that in our minds that really create arousal, that trigger arousal, and that's part of the surging, like electricity. And then we have the ache, where we're looking at longing for relationship and really longing to be close to someone. So when I try to define when I'm trying to look at what do I do with horny, what do I do when I'm really feeling, this surging, this ache, I think 2 or 3 words would be important to understand. One of them would be the idea of redirecting. And I think redirecting is more than just trying to see if we can look at it and try not to think about it as much. I think redirecting would be taking that energy and maybe using it to go in a different direction. Sometimes a word that we use is the idea of sublimate. Sublimate means that we take something and turn it into something else. We could take water and sublimate it into steam. And so redirecting is looking at how do we take our sexual energy and redirect it. Here's a couple things that I think are really important in redirecting. One of them would be just being able to have a lot of physical exercise. I think, I'm not trying to be simplistic here and say go take cold showers and run 5 miles. But I remember times in my own life when I was single or single again, when I was really feeling horny, that running seemed to help me, really doing some strong physical exercise. So I think that there really is truth that we can redirect that energy. I think another way to redirect it is into being creative. Some of my friends are worship leaders, are very creative, are artistic. And they find that they say some of their best work is when they're really feeling sexually aroused, they're feeling horny and need to redirect that energy somehow. And so they get into some of their better songwriting or their better arts and crafts and other things that they're working on. Sometimes are redirecting that. Again, it's not avoiding or ignoring it, it's redirecting it. I think another way that we can redirect is, and I believe God really designs this, because this gets at some of the surge and the ache. Another way to redirect is just to build really good friendships. I believe that at times when, well, let me just give you this an example. One of my friends said that he believed that for men, one of the great antidotes to lust, to sexual surging, was good male friendship and good male friendship activities. So I think that we can redirect. Now, will that fill everything? Like if part of it is the ache to have someone special in our life, the ache to have sex, the ache to be married, to have someone that can really be that partner in life. No, I don't think just good friends are going to cure all of that ache. But I know for a fact in my own experience that good male friendships and good female friendships and that ability to be intimate non-sexually really helps to alleviate and redirect some of the sexual libido and some of the ache that's there. I think another thing we can look at when we try to look at what do I do with horny is looking at it as reframing. In counseling, when we talk about reframing, we take a concept and put a little different frame around it. We look at it with a little different idea. So if I'm looking at single sexuality and saying, God's guidelines would be that we wait to have sexual intercourse, to have real sex till marriage. What am I going to do with this ache to be whole? What am I going to do with this single sexuality, with all this surging? Reframing it could be that God is trying to teach me as a single person. God is trying to help me learn some lessons that are very valuable in relationships, that the only way I could learn them would be to have this ache in my life, this surging in my life. That this is basic training for future relationships and basic training for marriage. I think that is a good reframe, that we are learning skills and disciplines and reframing this in a way. I think another way to reframe it is that I think of guys, I think of us men where we have way more horny, way more libido than we ever need. I think another way to really work with this is to be able to see that this is driving us to God too, and driving us to a relationship with Him. So when we look at what do I do with horny, let's try to think through how we redirect, how we could sublimate, how we could reframe. And I'll leave you with this idea. This was, to me, I'll give you two examples. So one single gal was saying to me, the way I deal with horny is I put my earphones on, I put some really loud music on that I like, and I vacuum my apartment. I just clean it from top to bottom, and somehow that redirecting the energy really helps. Another single friend was saying, what I do is I yell. And I thought, well, that's curious. And he said, I'm in my apartment alone and no one's around, so I'm not disturbing anyone, and I will just holler at God. Why did you give me this much libido? Why did you make me horny? And I'll just holler at it isn't fair, I'm not married and I'm single. And he says somehow just venting all those feelings helps him learn to redirect and to be able to deal with horny. So let's help brothers and sisters, guys and gals, let's help each other when we're in that place where we're trying to boundary our sexual feelings, we're trying to boundary horny, learning how we can each help each other redirect and reframe it.